Okay, today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Welcome to Pandion Music Foundation. Today we have Tejal, and I'm just going to do a little bit of an intro about Pandion, and then I'm going to do an intro to Tejal. So Pandion Music Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit that equips emerging artists and music creators around the world with tools to help foster more equitable, attainable, and sustainable careers. Based in Los Angeles, PMF amplifies diverse voices to grow a more inclusive music industry by providing free weekly online workshops and wellness initiatives that connect independent musicians with leading professionals. And I'm just going to do a bio on Tejal. Tejal is a first generation Indian American yoga teacher, writer, podcaster, and community organizer. Tejal's aim is to educate and empower individuals and groups around the world to practice yoga holistically and through a social justice equity lens. Tejal can be found decolonizing wellness with a revolutionary Tejal Yoga Online, a primary South Asian teacher led yoga space with the ABCD Yogi interactive community, an online hub for healing and learning, and through the Yoga is Dead podcast, ebook, and signature cultural appropriation training. Wow, you're very busy. Okay,
Yeah,
I
thank
am
you.
also going to make you co-host as well. Okay, can I hand over to you then, Tejal?
Yes, I would love that. And I'm just scooching forward
Yeah,
because
sure.
we're going to have a little check-in before we practice.
Awesome. Just before we start, do people need anything? Do they just need a space, a chair, maybe a pen and paper?
Yeah, so I actually have both tools here. I have a chair and I have a mat for the floor practice. So
Okay.
I encourage you to have either a mat or definitely a chair. So the
Okay.
mat is optional. I might move to the mat to do some floor work, but I want us to have a really accessible practice where we don't actually have to rely on the mat at all
Okay, great.
to do this practice, which might already be a surprise for people since this is a little bit of a yoga practice.
That's fine. I mean, the creators of music creators often the way that the music industry is at the moment is quite a hard path to follow, and so we know that music creators can have increased stress and other mental health issues, and so if we can find ways that we can, reground ourselves and help us in any creative pursuits, that's absolutely welcome to us.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well,
Okay, take it away.
once you've gotten set up,
Yeah.
I do also invite you to have maybe a fan going and something to sip on if you need to take a rest and hydrate because it's heating up over here. So I
Yeah.
know it's heating up across the country. So that's what I'd love to offer you. And then before we dive into me moving back to guiding a practice, I just want to get a sense of who's in the space. So if you're open to this, I'd love for you to drop in your name, your pronouns, your location, and your land in the chat if you know those things. And then what is it that you see as a connection between yoga, mindfulness movement, and spiritual practice with the creative writing and songwriting work that you do? So maybe that's not a short answer, but if you could give like one word to put it all together as a vibe or a feeling. Yeah, Brian shared it quiets the noise. Go ahead and take a minute to just type in.
So Tejal, whereabouts are you joining from? Whereabouts in the world are you coming from?
Yeah, I am just putting that in the chat. So I
Ah,
am coming from the colonized lands of the Tongva, the Chumash, and the Kizh people, colonially known as Los Angeles, California. And
yes.
the way I was connected to Pandion is through, I believe, a board director, Abby Wills, and the teen music camp that
Yes.
Pandion offered in Venice just a mid-month of June. And I
Yeah.
was able to be in that space, work with the youth from Roosevelt High out in Boyle Heights, California, who were taking a bus over to the Venice location. And it was an amazing sound studio with really calm, peaceful, creative vibes. And we opened the day with some conversation, some breath work and pranayama practices, and a little bit of movement, joint mobility work.
Fantastic.
From there, I said, I really love the goal of the foundation, and I think there's a strong synergy between yoga, asana being the movement type of yoga, pranayama being the breath regulation practices, and the mindfulness that yoga invites you into with the creative process. And because I said that all in one sentence, Jordan asked me to just offer that in a session. So that's why
Fantastic.
I'm back with you.
That's amazing. And thank you so much for being part of the teen music camp. I've heard so much amazing things from it. I've had a look at the pictures. The children looked like they really had a good time.
Yeah, they did. And to be honest, California and LA in general feels like it's situated by the ocean, but not many people in LA. I won't generalize, but I'll say that I have met people who haven't really made the ocean a part of their regular practice. And
Mhm.
so for these high schoolers, I remember hearing them talk about how they were only 15 minutes of a walk away from the ocean, and that was really exciting for them. So a lot of good things came out of that week.
Fantastic.
And so Bob dropped into the chat that it's a new activity. So great. I'm excited to have your introduction be with me. Henry offered that it connects me with my power within. Christina offered meditation helps put things in perspective, reduce stress, and remember or remind what's really important to them. Yeah, thank you. So for those just joining in, we're just dropping into the chat what we might describe the connection between yogic practices and the creative practice that you have, whether that's songwriting or writing music, composing, you know, producing. So I really appreciate you dropping that into the chat. Carl said, I feel more balanced and grounded after yoga. I feel more relaxed. Great.
Sorry, I just had a really noisy we call them mopeds. I don't know what you guys call them over there. They're kind of like not full on motorbikes, but more sort of scooter type thing. It's two teenagers.
Yeah, no, it's completely noise canceled, so we couldn't hear that at
Oh,
all.
that's
So
good.
yeah, it's good to know because whenever there's gardening or anything, when I work from home, I always get nervous about that, but people never hear a single sound. So I have my AirPods on, so that's where you'll hear me from. I will invite us to chant a little bit. Sometimes Zoom cuts off some of that noise. You probably have experienced it with sound as well, but just know that I'm here with you and that it'll pick right back up again. Okay. So thank you all for joining in. I hope that you have yourself seated and that you might have a mat for your later practice, but you don't necessarily need to have a mat today. In fact, what I show you in the chair, you can continue to do in the chair when I move to the mat to show you other activities. So what I want you to do today is start to build that bridge between yogic practices, which could look like moving the body, it could look like calming the mind or attempting to still the mind. It could look like invigorating the breath and the vital life force energy within the body. It could look like holding a mudra or a gesture. It could look like any number of things, starting from the way we think our thoughts to the way we move that through our body. And I want to help build a bridge between those practices and what that does for the creative process for you. So the first request I have for you is, of course, to come to your chair and have a seat. And you can sit with your feet outstretched like mine, feet grounded on the floor. You can sit with your legs crossed. You can come to any comfortable seat. You can even be lying down if that's more comfortable. So if you have a couch nearby and that's where you need to be, just go ahead and make yourself comfortable. Move towards comfort. And the next thing I'm asking or inviting you to consider is what kind of connection you find between practices where you are very zoned in and focused to the creative process. And you might be thinking, well, Tejal, there's no difference for me. When I'm zoned in, I'm super creative. Others might say when I'm zoned in, when I'm in the flow, I am unitasking like none other, right? I am banging things off my list because I am so hyper focused on the one thing that the doorbell could be ringing. I'm not even there. Like there's no way that I'm going to get the door. Other ways being in the flow could look like, or being really zoned in could look like, is to be able to receive a lot of messages and signals at once, and then to be able to process them at a very high rate, right? And the high rate would look like whatever it is for you, right? So your baseline, and then maybe an accelerated processing. So take a moment to consider how being in the zone affects you. And then pick that up and think about when you're in the zone creatively. So you might wish to jot these thoughts down. You might wish to say, when I'm in the zone in my day-to-day life, it looks like, and just fill in that blank. Again, when I'm in the zone in my day-to-day life, it looks like. And just a reminder that being in the zone is very different than being at peace, or an activity you might do to be at peace. Being in the zone can result in feeling peaceful. It can result in feeling balanced, right? But what is that starting point? When I'm in the zone, it could look like what? And list out any number of ways you might be handling your activities or responsibilities. And that makes me feel. And then go ahead and fill in that blank. So when I'm in the zone, it looks like, and that makes me feel what? This is where you would insert peaceful, energized, balanced, like any number of things, but try to pick the primary feeling from that list. And then you can just put a pin in it. You can always come back to this exploration and creative writing later. And then next, I want you to think about or jot down, when I'm firing creatively, it looks like. When I'm able to tap into my full creative energy, it looks like. And list one or two things that come to mind that you do with your full creative energy. I'm not a sculptor. So if I were, I would say I'd be sculpting some really cool shit. I'm not a songwriter, but maybe for me, it would look like developing a really aligned program for my community. Maybe for me, it would look like, when I'm firing creatively, I'm writing really good poetry. What are the few things that show up for you when you're firing creatively? And then when you get through that one or two short list, and that makes me feel. When I'm firing creatively and I feel that poetry is flowing through me onto pen and page, that makes me feel super whole. It makes me feel really aligned. Like my creative energy is now merged with my physical presence. Right? But what is it for you? Maybe it makes you feel elated or impressed or invigorated, rejuvenated, right? And then we will look at those two thoughts, right? And look at the way we feel, in the way that we are firing creatively, doing things we feel really creative in our efforts with. How does that make us feel? On the other hand, when we are feeling aligned, right? And when we are feeling we are really zoned in, there might result in a different output and a different feeling. But the bridge from one side to the other is what we're looking at. And maybe it's one and the same. Maybe that's where we're at. It's one and the same. And so we still want to build a link to being able to access this. For the yogic practices, what I think is really lovely is that there's so much we can intellectualize. Frontal lobe, I hear all the time. There's so much we can process uh, and then know and be able to communicate, like we just did this exercise of journaling, right? This might have been a little bit easier than being in conversation because there was guided journaling to go with it. And you didn't have to think of all of it on your own. But it's still a fair level of intellectualizing and processing and writing into words, right? What we're doing. On a felt sense, so much happens that we might never be able to describe. So another word for body is soma, which is why we hear a lot about somatic practices these days, because the idea of moving through things with our body is somatic. It's about somatically experiencing or somatically processing things. And that can work on a different level than the intellectual level. We might never have the words or the distinguished ability to communicate about an experience, but when we have it somewhere close to us in mind and we start to move somatically, we might get through it in a different way. Yoga also invites us to consider all of the ways we take in information, of which there are 5. So one of the ways we process information is through memory. So when we experience something, we bounce it off of our memory of something similar that we've experienced, and that arises to a conclusion. We can do that through sleep. So memory is different than sleep. So in our sleep, in our subtler conscious states, we might be able to understand experiences in a different way. And we do that from experiences within that state as well. We do it from inference, and inferring something is like walking into the room and seeing something coiled on the ground and basically jumping out of our skin because how the heck did a snake get in the room? And then you flip open the light and it's just a belt, right? Or it's just a cord. But we inferred it to be a snake. And so we can receive information through inference. So we have memory, we have sleep, we have inference, right? We have testimony from other people sharing with us, and then we receive information from them. And that's a little tricky, right? All of these can have nuance, but when we when we have testimony from others, we want to be sure it's from trusted advisors, especially if we are taking their opinion at face value. We're using their experiences to then guide our own. So we have memory, we have sleep, we have inference, and we have testimony. And then we have pure direct experience, right, which isn't colored by anything else. So in order to access information in all these ways, well, first, yogic philosophy teaches us that this is the way we process, right? And that our mind takes information and puts it through one of these avenues. I think it's such a beautiful way to understand how we move through the world, right? Because if we tend to lean towards one avenue than another, we can start to notice that maybe these other areas are in neglect, right? And that we do need to balance out the ways we receive information. So if we're constantly leaning on testimony to guide us, we're not developing in the areas of memory and sleep, inference, and true knowledge, true direct experience. And that's not to say there's any prescription around how much we need to tap into these areas to receive information and understand it through those lenses. It's just to say the more that we know about our way we process, the more we can understand the way we output. Output is one of the ways that builds the bridge to the creative practice, to the creative process. Because ultimately we create for ourselves, but there are moments in our life, and there might be even paths that we choose where what we create is output to others, right? Even if it's something you just doodled, but you want to share with a friend. So how we receive information affects our creative process, which then affects how we put things out into the world or how we show up in the world. And I think it's such a lovely synergy to understand how we synthesize information to then use it and then show up with it, whether it's in the body, in the mind, or out in the world in action. So hopefully that all lands and is like creating all this wonderful avenue of thought to process and questions that you have to dig deeper into and just really investigate for yourself. What do you tend to lean on when you receive information? Is it memory? Is it maybe something that's a glimmer from sleep states? Maybe it's through inference and you constantly find that there's a bouncing off of a previous reality that actually is changeable and movable. The snake is a rope, is a belt. Is it testimony of others and you have something coming up where like, oh, I've been in a situation where testimony was valued too much, or I know better about testimony, or I need someone, a mentor in my life to really have some testimony that I can understand and process information with? Or is it just direct experience? You touched the ocean for the first time and you didn't have anything to compare it to, and you just had that pure experience. You were in the zone of that experience. So we think about these things, and then I want to invite you into really the channels of the way we can process that. And that can be through body, through mind, and through breath. We talked about mind a lot, and I want to do some stuff with the body with you, if that feels okay. And then I want to invite you into some breath, if that feels okay. And all of this can help dislodge stuck energy or latent energy and give us vital life energy that helps to move creatively or creative energy through our body, right? There's so much philosophy I could invite us to consider right now, but I really want to get into practice. So if you have a question, feel free to drop it in the chat or maybe raise a hand and I will address it. And then we'll spend the rest of our time in practice. Great. So if this is, so I'd love to check in and just see how this is landing for you. So if you're able to, maybe just like one word in the chat to just see how this is landing for you. That'd be really lovely. Okay, from here, I invite you to find your seat. And I'm going to move my chair to the side. And as you find your chair and your seat, there's a couple things I want to point out. Go ahead and place your ankles so they're right below your knees. And you can see from here this long line of ankle to knees, right? Hips to knees could be a little bit more lifted, which means my feet on my chair could be a little lower to be at right angles here, but I'm not too stressed about it. So as I sit with my feet and my ankle is directly below my knees, I want to explore what it looks like and feels like to sit upright and tall, right? Upright takes a little discernment. It takes a little bit of review because sometimes we're more movable in certain parts of our spine. And so that's the part that we pick up. But you might be able to tell I'm in a back bend here, but I have a pretty flexible mid back. So my mid back is like, all right, I'll pick you up. And now I'm actually in a curve. So I want to also hug in my low belly and place a little bit of a tilt, not far forward in the hips, right? Which we might get used to because we do desk work or because we're constantly hunched over, and not completely lean back where we're dumping into the low back. So the difference here is to come up nice and tall and then play with the hug of our spine, curving forward and curving back, curving forward and curving back, and finding the midpoint. So you might even place your hands on your hips and just feel around for the bony parts. And once you find those bony landmarks, you can tip the bowl of your pelvis forward. So like the contents would be spilling forward and down, and pick that up and tip it back. Okay, so up and forward and up and back. Do that a few times. Already, we're moving through stuck energy in our hips in one direction. or in one plane of movement. Forward, then back. All right, and you might notice some pops or clicks. Go ahead and keep going, but if you feel any pain, right, you want to pull back a little. One way you can do this really nicely for your body is to bring the toes slightly in and the heels slightly out. So this is an exaggeration where the heels are the bottom of my hands out, but that's the direction. Directionally, toes slightly in, heels slightly out. If you're tight on the outsides of your calves, you're going to feel that. So toes slightly in, heels slightly out, tip the pelvic bowl forward and down like you're spilling, and drop it back and away. Okay, feet firmly planted. Find the midpoint so you're sitting nice and tall, upright. And then rather than bending back at the most flexible part of your spine, hug the front body to the back body. Now we're sitting up super tall, and it might feel like a lot of work. But that's all right, because we probably are reprogramming a lot of the ways that we sit, a lot of the ways that we hang out, right? A lot of the ways that we're relaxed. We're reprogramming that for our practice. And guess what? We're also clearing a pathway for more breath. As you clear that pathway, as you sit up nice and tall, I want to invite you to take the arms forward and up. Nice and gentle. You might even reach the thumbs back. Palms are facing each other here. And then you bring it forward and down. We'll start to add movement with the breath with this gentle movement. So next time you move forward and up, take an inhale. Move at the speed of your breath. So then on the exhale, you come forward and down. Go for it. Inhale. When you're ready, exhale. How about 3 more times? You might notice your mind is wandering. You might notice you're hyper-focused on the sensation or the restriction you feel or the openness you feel, but try and just move with the speed of the breath. After you finish that last one, just go with one arm forward and up, doesn't matter which, and trace it back, reaching it back and wide as you create a circle, and do that a few more times. So as you come all the way up, begin to exhale as you reach back and down. You can adjust your posture if the chair is in the way or if there's an armchair in the way. Take a few of those and take it to the other side. Apart from just gaining a lot of awareness of the body in this moment, you're also trying to move with the rhythm of your breath. So breath is at a certain pace and speed, and then the rhythm comes with that breath. So after you've evened out on both sides, we'll go back to both arms forward. This time, try and reach them both back and down. I have the wall to navigate, so just notice what you have to navigate and see if you can adjust for that. Good. Slowing down, hands on the legs, upright and tall spine. Reset the posture. Eyes can soften, close if you feel comfortable. Go ahead, deep breath in. Heart rises, belly rises, spine lengthens. On your pace, on your rhythm, the deep breath out through mouth or nose. Think about the way being in the zone ultimately makes you feel. Think about the way when you fire creatively and fully, that makes you feel. Invite those feelings into your body, into your process today. into your practice. From there, I want to invite you to take your arms forward, round the spine forward, and pull the arms back. Elbows go wide, squeeze the shoulder blades together. If you have any tightness in your chest, you'll probably feel it here. Inhale, reach forward, scoop your belly back, round the spine, but reach the palms forward. And exhale, elbows hinge back, arch the back. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Once more, inhale forward. And exhale back. You can go ahead and release that. And then I want to invite you into something a little more intricate to help open up upper body, upper back. Go ahead, take the arms out in front of you, and then take the right arm on top of the left. So you're making a crisscross with your arms. From there, keep squeezing the inner elbow, outer elbow connection together, and reach the fingers up to the sky. Okay, so now you have this interesting right arm over left arm configuration, and you might pull your left arm towards your left hand towards your face and bring the palm to palm. So let me undo it. From out wide, take the arms across the body. Take a look, right elbow on top of left. Bring the fingertips up to the sky and continue dropping your right arm on top of left. You might stay with the back of hands touching. You might pull that left arm towards your face and hook it palm to palm. Okay, it's fine if you're here, and it's fine if you're here. And now we have this intricate weave of the arms. If you have any injury or pain, you would take a stage of this. You don't have to take the full posture or match what I'm doing. From here, inhale to lift the elbows, lift the gaze. Exhale, bring the bottom to the front edge of the chair, the knees wide, and start to round over and down. Dropping the head and maybe fingertips to the ground. On your inhale, you're scooping up and back bending any amount, elbows to sky. And on your exhale, you're rounding forward and releasing down. Couple more times if that's working for you. You're welcome to stay in any configuration or any part of this and just breathe there as well. And after you finish that second one, come back to center. You can keep the legs apart. Unwrap the arms. Take a moment with the arms up and overhead. Interlace your fingers and press your palms to the sky. You might, at a back bend, you might not. Based on your comfort level. Release the hands to the legs. Roll out any tension in the head and the neck. Make it nice and slow. I take the both directions for the roll. Come on back to center. All right. Other side, left arm over right, elbows are crossed. Bend those elbows. And bring either palms together or the back of hands together. About 5 of these, so go ahead, elbows up, inhale up. Exhale down. Releasing through the legs, moving through the hips and down. So your feet go as wide as you need to be able to come through the legs, any amount. If that's not possible today, that's totally fine. You're still getting a lot out of this at any variation. Remember to keep the breath with the movement. So here we're finding a rhythm. You might take that fifth and final when you're ready. And slowly come on up through center. Unwind the arms, bring them out and up. Interlace the fingers, different thumb on top. Reach up, 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 back bend if you like. Side bend if you like, especially side of the rib cage. And then bring the feet towards center. Right? They don't have to touch, but just keep those ankles below the knees. And we'll come back to that sitting posture. So we've done a lot here with the spine. I want to invite you into a twist. So arms will come all the way up. Inhale to reach. Exhale, turn to one side. Release your hands to your chair back and to the leg in front of you. Start to find a comfortable position for the arms as you sit up even taller. And notice if the tendency is to lean back to do this or lift the chin. Try to keep everything upright through the center of your spine. So go ahead and lengthen through the crown of your head, the very top of your head, inhaling. And every exhale, you might revolve, twisting. Inhaling and revolving. Good. Let that breath be loud. Let it be whatever it needs to be. If this just feels like a ooh or a ah, you let that out. Your feet might have moved on you. It's totally all right. Come back to center. Let the feet be separate and then take it to the other direction. Inhale, the arms come up and turn to your other side. Find your purchase against your chair and your leg, and then inhale to come up without leaning back, and exhale to twist. Inhale up, exhale to twist. Keep breathing. Come on to center. Take a pause. Roll the shoulders up, back, around, and down. Other way. And then from hands on the knees, start to arch the spine. Exhale to round. Let this be a midday stretch. Let this be a stretch you call on at any time you need it. Start to move your head and neck with this movement. Make sure you can still breathe. Take your time to slowly come on upright and tall. And then I'd like to invite you to move onto the mat. If you're not using the mat, no worries. You can stay on your chair because we're just going to mimic what we've already done, but this time on the mat. So I want to show you that it's possible to do a practice no matter what tools you have, right? No matter what ability level you have, and no matter what capacity you have. So when you come onto your mat, you might first take take this type of stretch, which is like sitting and kneeling, hips toward the tops or backs of the feet, and then just exploring, okay, what is living in my legs right now? What kind of asymmetry or stretch do I need on one side, but not necessarily on the other? Just be in that for a moment. A couple times we'll just take an inhale with the arms forward and up. Exhale, arms forward and down. Nothing we don't know already. Keep breathing with the intensity of this stretch along the legs. And then we're adding on after the second one. This time as you inhale, lift the hips and the arms. If you're in the chair, you've had this experience seated, so you just keep doing it seated. It might evolve into more of a back bend here as you progress. About two more. And last one. You can come down to your seat and then walk your hands forward so that you're in a hands and knees position. Now, from hands and knees, you want your knees under your hips and you want your wrists under your shoulders. We'll do the cat-cow position or postures, which is just to inhale to arch the spine, lift the head and neck, back bending, and an exhale to round the spine, hugging the belly to the ceiling, dropping the top of the head, releasing the neck long. 2 more. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round. Last one on your own breath. Back of head towards back of hips. And as you change, nose towards the pubic bone. Come back to neutral, meaning spine is not arched or rounded. Just a long spine from top of head to bottom of feet. And then we'll explore the twist. The twist coming from hands and knees position looks like left arm up to sky. And then left hand releases down behind the right. You start to lower your shoulder onto the ground. So we rest in the twist for about 3 breaths and we allow the shoulders to open up. So a little bit of our eagle arms that we did earlier with the back bending, we're targeting the same area, but in the opposite way. And we're trying to open up connections in our body to our breath. Up to 5 breaths here, could be faster or slower than mine. And slowly drag yourself upright. Bring the left hand back and down. Other side, right arm up to the sky. And when you release, take the right hand behind the left wrist and release shoulder down. If there's anything calling you with maybe stretching out the arms or taking them apart or together, that would help you drop into this back of shoulder stretch. Simply listen to those signals. Start to be more in the zone with what your body's asking than what I'm guiding. So 3 to 5 breaths. As you're ready, you can drag yourself back to tabletop position. And then we'll simply make circles with the hips. You can play with finding the pelvic tilt like we did earlier, very first movement. Tipping the pelvic bowl forward and back as you do this. Or you can simply just be in the rhythmic movement and let it do what it does for you. Maybe it soothes you or nurtures yourself. Maybe it reminds you of your to-do list. All that is fine. The mind does not have to be completely empty right now, but we do have to stay in the practice. Even if your to-do list comes up in front of you, or an email you need to send comes up in front of you, let it exist there, but try not to engage too much with it. Know that you're on this practice for a little while longer, and that's exactly where you need to be. And when you're ready, go ahead and find that seat back. And if sitting on your heels is impossible, you're welcome to come to sit on your chair. Inhale the arms forward and up. Exhale, turn to the side, opening the arms, release the arms down and find a twist. So back hand finds the legs, front hand finds the legs, upright tall spine, exhale to twist. Let your eyes lead and the rest of the body follows. And use your hands on your body as a way to help with the twist, help with the pivot. Create a little tension here that feels safe. Back through center, inhale, arms raised. Exhale, twist to the other side. Looks just like when we were sitting in the chair. So if you're still in the chair, you can absolutely be doing this with us. Back through center, inhale, the arms raise, hips lift. Any amount of back bend, interlace the fingers. Exhale, slowly release the hands down. And start to walk your knees to the side. Come to sit either on the chair or on your mat. And as you sit, you can find your back supported wherever you are. If you're in the middle of the room and you're comfortable with that, you can stay in the middle. Or you can come and bring your back up against the wall, wherever you might need to be most supported here. From here, find a comfortable seat. Flip up your left palm and connect your thumb to your pointer finger. Palm up indicates a mudra or a gesture called chin mudra. And that chin mudra, the way I remember it easier is that it starts with a C. And chin mudra is a way to connect to another C related word, the consciousness, greater consciousness. So if you need to receive energy or maybe creativity from the place around you, from the consciousness around you, chin up might, palm up, chin mudra might be a great idea. If you want to contain that energy that's already coursing within you and create more points of connection to yourself within yourself, it's called jnana mudra. Jnana is spelled Jnana. So it's a very like a gurgly, silent J sound, jnana mudra. And that mudra means gesture. In jnana mudra, we're actually looking inward with energy. We're containing energy. We're just recirculating energy within self. So I invite you now to choose. Is it chin mudra that will help inspire you, help you in your fully connected creative process? Or is it jnana mudra? These are very subtle indicators of intention for practice and what we are practicing while we are present here. So I'll go with palm up. You're welcome to join me palm up or down, chin or jnana mudra. And then I'd like to invite you into another mudra for your right hand. And for your right hand, I'm inviting you to take your pointer finger and middle finger and bring it into your palm. So you drop that into your palm, leaving your thumb, your ring finger, and pinky finger extended and unconnected to other parts of your hand. From this place, we will practice a regulating breath practice with the intention to balance our energy. Remember, intentions are just our best effort in our mind. That might not be what we output or what we experience. So let's set the intention for balancing energy and let's see what happens. With your left hand in chin or jnana mudra, your right hand in Nasagiri mudra, okay, and nose tip gazing mudra, we'll go ahead and bring that hand in front of the face, the right hand in front of the face. Palm faces you. Take a deep breath in through the nostrils. Exhale through the nostrils. Right thumb plugs right nostril gently. Inhale through the left. Exhale through the left. Ring finger closes left nostril. Inhale through the right. Exhale through the right. Now let's take the cycle. Plug right nostril. Inhale left. Change. Plug left. Exhale right. Stay, inhale right. Change, exhale left. Inhale left. Stay, exhale right. Change, exhale right. Stay, inhale right. Change, exhale left. Last round. Inhale left. Extend that inhale. Slowly change, exhale right. Inhale right. Change, exhale left. Release the right hand. Take chin or jnana mudra to match left. Breathe normally through the nose. Your own rhythm, your own pace. Let the flow and the rhythm of the breath help to infer the flow and the rhythm of your creativity. Let the state of your being, if you wish, inform the state of your mind and all that comes from that place. Your creativity, your balance, your clarity come from the state of the mind in this moment. And we'll be here for just a few more moments of breath. This is our closing practice, closing posture. Allow your mind to wander back to our journaling activity and see if you can allow this practice to be the way that you build a bridge from being in the zone to firing creatively fully. Knowing that you have practices like what you've just experienced with you always is a reminder and a reassurance that there's no need to rush. Because this feeling and state of being is ever accessible. I'd like to close this practice with an invitation of gratitude, to call in gratitude for these practices of yoga, for our teachers that guide us on these practices. I'd like to invite you to call in some loving kindness for yourself for showing up today just as you are, with life and creativity just as it is showing up today. I'd like to invite you to call on your gratitude for this land that holds you, that holds us, to the wisdom of our ancestors, and to the care of the indigenous stewards of this land. I'd like to invite you into a moment of silence now to acknowledge that there is oppression against many beings on this land and to send an intention for those beings. May we work to repair harm and end suffering for all beings. And finally, I invite you to close in a chant with me. The mantra or chant of Om, then Shanti, repeated 3 times. So Om 1 time, Shanti 3 times. And this will be a reminder and a recognition of our interconnectedness with one another and to all energies on this planet and in this place. You might listen or join. Inhale to begin. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you all so much for your practice, and thank you for allowing me to share mine with you. Before you make your way out, if you have anything you wish to drop in the chat for me or for us to consider, we'd be happy to receive.
Thank you so much, Tejal. That was amazing. We had a question from Bob Wright, and he wanted to know, should we practice this every day or when needed? I suppose you're coming from the aspect of synergy, so maybe we could incorporate this to set us up for creative endeavors. Like you say, join the bridge between the hectic work life, pace of the day, do a practice, and then go into a creative process.
That's a great way to utilize any type of drop-in practice that you have or wish to participate in. And I also do invite you to do this daily if that feels aligned and possible for you. At least a little bit of the spinal work and the intention and attention towards breath. That could be right before you even get up out of the bed. You could come to sit upright and do some movement intentionally with the breath. And then it can be a drop-in practice whenever you need it to come into, a little bit of clarity, a little bit of focus, whatever it is that it brings you.
Fantastic. And I was just wondering, because depending on which yoga school or that I've been in, there are certain stances where you breathe through your nose and out through your mouth. I just wondered, is there a correct way? Does it depend on the stance?
Yeah, that's a good question. The breath doesn't depend on the posture itself. It depends on the purpose for the breath. So
Right.
if you are breathing a little bit forcefully through the nose in and out, and we call it like a victorious breath or the sound of the ocean breath, that could generate a little bit of heat throughout a continued breath practice like that. If you're not looking to generate heat, or a simile for heat in this type of practice is a little bit of fire, or to light a little bit of fire, then you wouldn't necessarily choose that breath. The one that we just practiced together, which is in and out through the nose only, but in a very directed way, is not meant to generate heat. It's meant to not adjust the temperature of the body in any way, but to induce relaxation and calming. And so you could utilize it if you feel frazzled, if you feel kind of like up here, you could use it to bring you down. One thing I want to note is that you never really want to override your system. So if you find you're fighting yourself or you're using it and you're falling asleep, so you just keep fighting to stay awake, you might just need the nap,
Listen to your body. Yeah, listen to your body. Fantastic. Thank you so much. I've just dropped in the Pandion Music Foundation's links and Tejal's links as well. So that is her Instagram, YouTube, and website. So please do check her out. And Tejal, you have a podcast as well.
Yeah, that's right. It's linked also on my website. So if you go to my website, you'll see the words yoga is dead, and that's the name of the podcast.
Fantastic. Okay, that's it then, guys. Just a note on next week, we have What's Up Pitches, and the theme of the workshop is Mastering Relationships and Navigating Trends in the Music Licensing um, Industry. So thank you so much, Tejal. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for showing up. And
Oh,
I
thank
feel
you all.
really relaxed and grounded, which is fantastic. And
Wonderful.
also, Teja will be around. If you do have any questions that you've forgotten to ask, she will be around on the Ask Me Anything thread in the Creator Circle as well. All right, then. Thank you so much, Teja. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, Clark.
Bye.
Bye.